So Final Stand is quite the old game, and if you could believe there was a group of people that focused around grinding Broly's to try and see how high of a level they could go, well, there is, and I was a part of it. Today I will be going over everyone that I know who did this and rank them based on how well I think they did. Instead of doing a top 10 or an order worst to best, I will be using tiers that I made up since some of the people I do not know well enough to roughly say who is better than who, but I do know around which areas they should be. And you will see that some grinders will overlap in Broly count, and it's hard to tell who was better, although I will definitely say who the best 5 were, as I think it will make things more interesting, and that's what I would want to see in something like this. So first, let's start with the level 2000s. Spoilers, not all the 2000s are the best grinders. Some are not. A good example of this is Zenchan. Zenchan is a level 2000. He's a level 2000 melee droid, and he's a pure android with a Broly count 23,370, roughly. We don't know. If you get max SP for every Broly, you should hit 2000 at around 23,370 Brolys. It's a rough estimate. It's not number perfect, of course, but that is what you should be around, and that's what he is around. Now, that's a lot of Brolys, and obviously I'm not counting auto Brolyers that use exploits like scripts to do it. So the example, they do AFK. Like, that doesn't count, obviously. 20,000 is a lot. That's a lot of hours put into a game, especially on a Roblox game. And that's good, but that's only A tier. So Zenchan, even though he hit 2,000, really good grinder, it's A tier. Okay, another 2,000 is Pritoid. You might know him. He is a Dragon Ball Final Stand YouTuber who stopped playing a while ago. He also got 2,000, and he has around the same Broly counts as Zenchan. However, I do know that he sold a lot of his levels, which is impressive since majority of the grinders, the group grinds, which group grinds are significantly faster. So I will be putting him slightly above in my make-believe list above Zenchan, as I find that a bit more impressive. Although Zenchan was a melee droid and he did solo, but I have heard that he did a lot of group grinding. Another 2000 that's A tier is Satori Boro. Same thing with Pritoid, same thing here. He got 2k, 23,000 Brolys. The other 2k is Ember Crit. So this is interesting. He did 23,000 Brolys too, because he got 2k, and he has a 1k slot, which makes a grand total of 24,638 Brolys. However, they did use the double EXP glitch quite a bit. This glitch is when you pop double EXP right as you're about to level up in a Broly. Then when you finish the Broly, your bar will jump all the way through the next level almost, and you'll pretty much skip an entire level. I do not know how much he used. I will remove a Broly's worth of 900 to 1000, because I believe that he did not spam it, but is really potent in the 1900s, effectively skipping like 30 to 40 Brolys each time you just pop it, which is a lot. Now, the real number with that deduction, because I'm minusing 450 Brolys, is 24,188. They are quite the grinder, and they really like pizza, so let's give them a slice. A tier, of course. Now, who is another 2k? There's a lot of 2ks in this game. It's been a while, the game's been out for a long time, and I'm sure Snakeo wants to ban everyone, as he did Cosmin34, who is our next 2k here. So Cosmin34 is an interesting case. He got 1.5k, and then Snake would reset him out of jealousy. Someone reported him that he was exploiting, he was not, and Snake would reset him. It sucked, but he grinded a slot back to level 1500 and even hit level 2000 on it. I was there for all of his grinds, and they were fun. They were a lot of fun. So with this in mind, I'm adding his 1.5k Broly count and his level 2000 Broly count. And in total, this means Cosmin has done 31,238 Brolys, which is not A tier actually. This is Z tier. It's just a lot of Brolys, and it's beyond just 2k. So here's another grinder that is 2k but with a lot less Broly count than the others, and it's Sonic UFast OBC. He's also a YouTuber that did YouTube on the game, and he is a Melee Prestige 2 pure Android. Now, I do not know him all that much, but I have heard that he used double almost always. So instead of halving his Broly count, I will just subtract the whole level of 1900 to 2000, which is a lot. That's 4,400 Brolys, which makes his Broly count around 19,000, 18,970 to be more exact. While his Broly count is lower than what I require for A rank, he was a melee droid, which are garbage compared to Ki. They're a lot slower for soloing, and he did solo a majority of his levels. So for that, I'm going to bump up the A rank because that is pretty impressive. And then here is someone that's similar to Sonic UFast OBC, Back10-0. So he used a lot of doubles, quite a lot. Probably didn't deduct enough, but it's fine. He gets the same number, 18,970 for his main droid. He did say that he has a 1600 Rebirth droid also. However, I do recall him grinding it alongside his droid. Even though he says otherwise, I really remember grinding with him. He was doing those side by side. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here though, and say I was hallucinating. This would mean he gets another 10,020 Broly's, plus a 1,300 Rebirth Frieza, which is 4,568 Broly's, and another 1,300 Rebirth Saiyan, so another 4,568, which is 38,126. However, this is where it gets really odd. I'm not giving him Z-Rank. The reason why is because there's too much doubt, there's too much uncertainty around Factum. Before he was called Roblox Player, and he grinded slots alongside each other, which means the Broly count counts the same because you're using because you're using 2 slots, you're still doing 1 Broly. You don't get that's not how Broly count works. If you want the slot to be counted separately, then you have to grind each separately. In this case, I don't believe it is so with this droid, so that would take his total down to 28,000 roughly. And there's also some questionable things he did. I don't want to get into it, so it's really drama heavy, and I don't want to tear him down. But there's too much uncertainty around him that I can't give him Z-Rank, but he does get A rank and probably at the top of it. Alright, our next 2K is I Dark Reality I. He's also a Final Stand YouTuber, he's super real, and first they hit level 2000 on their main droid. This is, of course, 23,000 Broly's, plus their Jiren. That is also level 1200, which is 3,268 Broly's approximately. Then their 1500 droid, which is another 3,300 Broly's. Not counting the levels before 1300, as they said they leveled it alongside their main account. They also have a level 1000 droid, which is another 1,268 Broly's. In total, he had at least 31,296. He's a grinder. The Darkest Reality is easily a Z-Rank. It's not even a question. Quite good. He was very consistent on his grinds, which cannot be said for a lot of the grinders here. Alright, now next we have another lunatic grinder. His name's Epi Nick. This is someone who got me into grinding. They have a 2000 Android, 1300 Frieza, and a 1700 Android. His 1700 Android is 12,040 Broly count. His key Android being 23,000, of course, because it hit 2K. They did use a lot of double XP, so I will deduct another 4,400 Broly count, as that is around how much they used. Meaning in total, they've done around at least 36,008 Broly's. They're easily Z-Rank, very good grinder, and he likes Snickers bars. So this next 2K, I do not know all that well. Out of all of them, I probably know them almost the least, but not quite, because there's someone I do not. I know even less. I know this next person even less after this. So this person is Keller. He got 2K not so long ago, and I know they use double. I don't know how much, but I assume it's quite a bit. I know he plays slots side by side, so I'm not going to be counting his other slot. So I'm just going to pretend I don't know he didn't use double, since I do not know how much he has used. And I will just say that he used I'll just say he used none. So that means he has just a regular 23,000 with 70 Broly's, so he gets A rank for that. Okay, I lied. This next grinder I do actually know quite well. We'll be the one after this, I promise. Hybrid, this is a grinder who had 2,000 twice. First on his main account, and then on the second account. However, he was leveling the second account with his main account, so when his main account did hit 2,000, second account was already leveled 1,900. So all he had to do was extra 100 levels. So 23,370 plus 4,400, 27,770. Very good. The thing is he also grinded a Frieza from 1900 to 2000, but it was a majority auto bullied. I don't normally count slots like that. In this case, I do think I'm not going to count it, but I will keep it in mind when I do this. I would give him A rank, but that is pretty impressive, so I'm going to give him Z rank. I think he deserves it. Especially he was really fast, really consistent too. It actually matters a lot to me how fast you do it and how consistent you are, because it's easy to do like a bunch and then stop for a while. But do it consistently, not get burned out. I'm trying to Roblox game. Our next 2K, the best grinder in the game. It's Kirby Max 6105. I do not know this grinder all that much. Aside from doing Broly's a handful of times with them a few years back, I have no experience with them. However, I do know what they grinded to. They were the first ever level 2000 alive, being a pure key android. They were also, after hitting 2K, they prestiged, and then they grinded back to level 1900, 1938 to be exact, which is an extra 18,970 Broly's. So from what I know of them, they have done at least 42,340 Broly's at the minimum. Now that's a lot of Broly's, goddamn. Now this is who obviously I consider to be the best grinder, and even though I have a close Broly count of them, I believe I was faster, at least in terms of leveling. They were the first ever 2000, and to me that means a lot. Being the first is actually pretty impressive in this case, and even if like anyone else had 50,000 Broly count, I still consider him better, since being the first does carry a lot of value in this case again. But at least to me, Kirby Max 6105 is just the best grinder in this dead Roblox game. Alright, now for the final 2K. Me. So where would I go? Well, first let's see what I've got. I have a 2000 Android. Not bad, but Androids are really easy to grind, as they almost always will get max experience. What is more impressive is a level 2000 human, which I prestiged. However, as good as that is, I grinded it alongside my Android for the most part, which means I leveled it as I leveled my Android, and all the way up to level 1600, which is when my Android hit 2K. So after getting 2K on my Android, I got my human in 2K, which means I only count the Broly's from 1600 to 2000. I do have another Android, which is current level 1100. I then prestiged it at 1253. So with all these slots, surely I'd be up there. Okay, so what is my Broly count? It's hard to put an exact number on it, of course. So we got 23,370 plus 13,350, then plus another 1,021.68 from my melee droid. Should be 3,268. Add those on top of that. Adding these together, it would give me a grand total Broly count of 42,156. It's a good number, but it's behind the Kirby Max 6105. And I've been using methods that they were kind of created, and it's other methods that people created. So while I do have a high Broly count, I'm just a user of the meta. I'm probably top 5. Kirby Max is definitely first. Maybe I'm second. Alright, so now let's get into someone who isn't 2K but has the Broly count above the Broly count required for 2K. That's Dizzy Despair. He was a Prestige 3 Jiren who was about level 1800. He is a Z rank. Why? It's because of his Broly count. Due to him being Prestige 3, he rarely would get more than half of the experience Broly gives. So let's say he got half the XP for all Broly's. I'm highballing his EXP game. First, the Broly count for 1800 is 15,370. Let's multiply that by 2. We get 30,740. However, the important to note is that he grinded on a controller, which means Interior Transmission is quite a pain to use. You have to constantly go from keyboard to controller. And he was also a melee build, which just sucks, especially being a Prestige 3 non-droid. His Broly's would take around 2 to 3 minutes, and he would solo a lot of his levels, which means he has more game time than I do, even though I have much higher level slots. So he is Z rank easily. I think he's the 4th best grinder. I think he's the 4th best grinder. It's who I think is the 4th, at least. Maybe even higher. I know who the 5th is. In my opinion, Isaac is the 5th. He is a grinder who prestige at 1.7k, the prestige glitched at 1.5k, the grinder back to 1.7k. that is quite a lot of grinding. He was an Xbox player, which means no instant transmission, so this was especially impressive. His Broly count was at an absurd 32,810. I'm pretty certain this is the right number, 100%, but I think this is the right number. Even though he isn't 2K, I'm giving him Z rank because that's just absurd. And I do think he's the 5th best grinder. As a 3rd, at Epinik, I think Epinik's a 3rd. He grinded a lot, definitely deserves it. Now let's get into people who are not quite at the A or Z tier. So Roy MLG is the 1st. He was a 1.2K. He's a C tier grinder. I don't have an image of them, so rest in peace. Rebel_1 is a grinder who at level 1500 and 100 and 100 separately. This would give him a Broly count of 10,038. It's quite good. It's B rank. Here are 2 other androids. They're Ember X Fresh and Ninja, both with a Broly count of 2,168. They shall rest in D tier. We have Zero. I forgot about this guy until reality reminded me. He hit level 1,100 3 times separately without grinding their accounts side by side, which would make his Broly count 6,504. He is in the C tier. Sergeant MLG is a 1K, so he's D tier. Bear King is, people consider him the grandfather of grinding, the inventor of the Broly pad. So he had a 1.2K Sand and a 1700 pure Android. His Broly count is much lower than a 2K's, however, it's the speed that is impressive here. He did 1600, 1700 in a day during a Christmas event, which is insane. Was more than a 24-hour grinding session. And even though he isn't 2K, I'm putting him in an A tier, Broly count of 15,738. I'm definitely biased here. I like this stuff a lot, and he was really fast. Wallace is the next grinder. He grinded every race in 1.2k, which is absurd. At the time, there were only 6 races because there's no Jiren. So we get 3,268, multiply that by 3, and it's 9,804. It's times 3 and not times 6 because he used multiple accounts at once. So this guy has an Android to 1,500, so his total count is at least 14,404, which doesn't sound like enough in my opinion, but that's what math showed, so B tier for him. This next person I do not know all that well. Sammy, prestige at 1.5k twice, then grinded back to 1.1k. His Broly count would be around 17,904. That's quite good. Almost A tier, but not quite. He will get the top of B tier though, that's for sure. Now, Block Aburn. I met this guy one time in Final Stand. I was level 1,200 at the time, and it was pretty cool, but or talked to him for 10 minutes, then went back to grinding. He has a 1.3k slot, which is about 4,568 Broly's done, so that's C tier for him. Alpha Sama, someone also I don't know. I found out actually I tried Troid's video, and they have a Broly count 3,268, which is C tier. And the next D tier is Good Wee, 1,100, Broly count of 2,168. Another D tier grinder, the Curly Turtle, 1,100, 2,168. So the next one's actually a Sam. called Gresham. He was a 4th engine sand who got half EXP while grinding. However, he did use double EXP and wouldn't always only get half, so I'll multiply it by 1.5. I would multiply it by 2, but he used double XP and he would always get half, so I think it's a fair multiplication to give him a grand total of 9,104. This is a B tier grinder. Another YouTuber is Derp Monsters. They are level 1400 but prestiged at 1100. This would mean they have done at least about 2,000 rollies in the prestige and then grinded another 6,068. Altogether, he has around 8,000 rollies. Hail the Derp Monsters. RP123, he hit 1,700. They have done 12,470 rollies. They shall be in B tier with Kenshin Hu, who I'm getting to now, who also has 1,700, which makes their bullet count also around 12,470. And they're in B tier with Roses, who I'm getting to now, who is level 16,676. Normally I want to round up, but I'll do it for him. So he has done 11,700 bullies, which is B tier. The Nakabro 11 will be with him. He has pretty much the same bullet count as him. Now we have Strongest, and he is not the strongest grinder. He has a 1.2k slots, which he grinded separately. Android and a Frieza. This will mean he has a total bullet count of 6,536. Not bad for the strongest here. This would make him a C tier grinder. Apex ended up getting 1,300, which means they have a bullet count of at least 4,568. So they are C tier. Following him is Sneaky Snack. This guy is a 1400 key droid, which puts him with Gabri at around 6,068 bullies, who Gabri, same level as Sneaky Snack, so he also has 6,068 bullies. Okay, our next grinder is Marcel Olami, who I believe is 1,300, and I think got 1,000 before having his slot, which means they have around 5,836 bullets. That doesn't sound right. It really doesn't. Now that I look back at it, I do think they got 1,500, so I'm gonna give them B tier instead of C tier, since I do think I just did the math here wrong. There is also ZKXRII. He is a 1,300 droid, which means he is C rank, and there's also iDarkFlow Whistle, 1,300 droid, which means he's also C rank. But I want to make sure I didn't miss them. I almost did. So yeah. And I think that's it. So that was me ranking the Grinders Final Stand. Now, this isn't all of them. The only people that I actually know and could actually get pictures of. I'm sure there's some people I missed, undoubtedly. There's no way I got everyone, but it's definitely the majority. So that's that. Anyways, again, here are my top 5. This is who I think are, in my opinion, the best. And for the video, I suppose. It was fun to make this. I took a lot of research, but I do think it was worth it. I like doing stuff like this. Works out the brain, and I get to see, and I get to make fun tier lists. Anyways, that's it for the video. Until next time.